This has got to be one of the most diverse regional breakdowns that I have seen in a very, very long time. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Your breakdown for the Prodigy Games Regional from 9-10 is actually something amazing here. We had 3 tier limits in Top Cut. Okay, so that was our most represented deck. That's fine. Nothing really to argue there. But there's not a single Sprite deck within this top 30 or this top 8. Wow, I actually think that that's actually quite impressive to see that we've got such a metagame shift out here that these players didn't even choose to bat an eye at Sprite. Now, the interesting things from this list, you had 2 Math Mech decks in Top Cut, so Circular Turbo doing its job out here. If you kind of blink and go, you know, like what really matters all that much, I mean, Math Mech is going to continue to be one of those decks that's going to catch a lot of people off guard and just really detour them. You also had 1 Plunder Patrol deck. Now, this is where things start to get interesting. Hunter Lloyd out here ended up being one of the masters of disaster out here with these particular decks that are definitely off, I would say, term. I think that's definitely interesting to see here. Just the cool ideas and stuff that players can bring to the table out here and find success with. We actually had 1 hero deck in Top Cut as well. First time that heroes have done something in a hot second. And I'm actually quite excited to actually see the list here once we get further into the video here. But man, oh man, heroes, that's something I didn't think we'd seen in a while. And then we have an Exosister Runic list. Yes, Runic and Exosister merged together to kind of bring together something that I don't think a lot of players really were expecting. And it's cool to see like different engines that can kind of flow together here with that Exosister package to create this interesting deck. We're going to pass on over to top deck list now. All right, the first deck I was going to be looking at here was your winning deck list from Joel here. Actually, Akano got this from him because they're duelist at their local. So we are doing the Brandon High Spirits combo here with Mr. Des Frog to go get Mr. Albion here. I think that getting like the extra dumping potential and things along the way here is really cool. We're actually also playing Spell Canceller in this deck as well. Holy moly. Now, one thing you might see down here is we're playing High Rate Draw. Destroy 2 or more monsters you control, and if you do, draw 1 card for every 2 monsters destroyed. In your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, target 1 monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use the effect of High Rate Draw once per turn. Now, this was something that I think probably should have ended up being an Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Maybe they didn't have the chance to pick it up because, especially like post-YCS, you saw, you know, Curious, Dump, Griffin, Revive. You know, I know we're not playing the Griffin in here, but it's definitely something worth considering here. But High Rate Draw, that is a comical little piece of gold that I would say here. We've also seen the Grave Dragon here starting to see a lot of play now. Like this card being a card that you can access now because of inflict 100 damage, all monster opponent controls lose this, or you can gain 400 life points for each worm. Definitely some interesting little interactions yet again that a deck like this can kind of create and bring to the table. But I really am a fan of seeing Brandon and High Spirits here actually kind of taking off with the Des Frog package here. Once again, kind of showing the world that, hey, you know, we can come up with some innovative ideas. We can test the waters out here with these particularly offbeat ideas, and we can find success with them. Especially, you know, when you can main deck a Spell Canceller here, you know, see this card and pretty much just win the game. Hope your opponent has a Solemn Judgment for the normal summon of this, or you're probably going to win the game overall. Next up here is our hero list. Holy moly, we are playing the Dark Angel. So, first of all, I know a few hero players are kind of starting to try to go away from Dark Angel, but I feel like that's not the game plan. I feel like Dark Angel still is one of those cards that you want to look at and you want to have this be one of the focal access points for your strategy. So continue to keep an eye on this. I see that we are still doing Forest and increased plays because, I mean, this package still ends up being like the best thing for heroes, right? We are main decking Rivalry of Warlords. Don't underestimate the power of Floodgates, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like a deck like Heroes, whose entire specialty is, you guessed it, Warrior, kind of not wanting to play this just ends up hindering, the fundamentals of this deck itself. Of course, you got some board breakers in here in the form of droplets, and of course, mass change to dodge those key problems. Also, double polymerization. I actually kind of like this. I know a lot of the previous builds focused really on just playing one poly. I feel like 2 is an interesting concept. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how many other people kind of come up with the same idea or test this out. I think out of the previous YCS, I think we saw 2 poly show up for the Oceanic list. But nonetheless, there's definitely something to be had here for something like this. So overall, not too bad, everybody. I like the concepts and things behind this list. Next up here, Plunder Patrol Booty. Okay, well, there's so much to unpack here. First of all, we are on 60 cards. That feels like very much a hunter specialty here. I see that we are playing the Mystic Mines in here to punish the opponent. We have so many hand traps, man. Okay, so we have Dimension Shifters in here to punish the opponent. We got some Lava Golems as well. It's actually interesting because that is a fire monster, so you do get some pretty interesting interactions off of that. Okay, what else we got going on here? We have the Adventure Package in here. God, this is just a pile, man. Like, you have Mystic Mine slow down the opponent, the Adventure Package. You have so many hand traps. I mean, you are hand trapped out of your gosh darn mind for this deck. That's what, 2, 4, 6... 9, 12, 15, 18 hand traps. You have even these in here in case you end up going second. I do like the fact that we have plenty of going second cards in here between like the Lava Golems and the Shifters. I think it's actually pretty important. See, we're citing a Hulky Fibrax as well. Is that in case, we open up a certain line of play that we need to do? We also have Reveries in different dimension grounds. I will say it, this list is pretty gosh darn tacked out, and that's really what you like to see, ladies and gentlemen. That cool level of innovation that players can bring to the table. Next up here is 8th place. This is Exosister Runic. Now, let me tell you, if you told me before today that Exosister would be one of the decks to merge with Runic, I probably would have laughed at you. I don't know if we really would have seen this previously, but I think that this is actually kind of interesting to see that at the end of the day here, the same thing that Sprite's doing is now being adapted into the Runic deck. You play the one field spell and then you play like the better parts of the cards around it, because milling off resources from the opponent, generating these huge power cards is really, really good. And then of course, packs to fuel your Exosister package. So basically, this whole line of play here is going to facilitate, you setting up cards like this and then punishing your opponent, all right? Do not underestimate just the Exosister package by itself, because I think a lot of players will take a look at something like this and go, hey, do I really want to, is there a reason or a need to like play the Exosister package with this? And I think the answer is yeah, you can do all sorts of cool lines of play with this package here to facilitate, the reason to play this. Is it better than playing Sprite Runic? I don't know. But having different ideas available to you to end up testing, I think is a good thing. And that's what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! A very unique game, is the different ideas and things that you can bring to the table to mess around with. And last but not least is a 15th place. This was Exosister Dynamorphia. Now, of course, I still stand by Rexstrom being one of the coolest floodgate monsters out there in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically just getting the ability to turn off anything that the opponent does. But the problem is you're going to have to self-damage yourself so far down the combo line that it's ridiculous to get like the most value out of this. And if you're already playing a deck that like is very dangerous to the core, well, it's not going to be a crazy good time. But to see something like this show up, perform, do well in the rogue category, I think that that's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, don't underestimate some of the cooler lines of play that you can mess around with in terms of just simply merging two engines together, because honestly, this is just a 5-card splash engine into your Exosister deck, giving you an entirely different aspect of things. So, and what, like a 4-card dedication in the extra deck for something that doesn't really care? I don't know. It seems kind of saucy to me. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later on in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.